Let's move on to something completely different, which terrified me. Deliver Us from Evil.
This is the new film from a director called Scott Derrickson. He made Sinister and he made The Exorcism of Emily Rose. If you've seen either of those films, you know that what Derrickson does very well is dark, scary houses. And, particularly Sinister, which was Ethan Hawke living in a house where I don't know what was going on in the wiring in that house, but no light bulb in that house was able to output more than 3 watts of power. And every room, even when he had every lamp on, was in total pitch darkness. So this is what Scott Derrickson does.
There's a whole light bulb thing in this as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's obsessed with light bulbs, but he's very proficient at making these scary scenes that are very scary in the moment. But I'm not sure that his films really, once you've left the cinema, feel like they've amounted to an awful lot. Deliver Us from Evil, it describes itself as being based on a true story, which I think is a very generous assessment of its relationship with real life. But
you turned to me, because we saw this together, and you turned to me when it finished, and you were like, is this based on real events? I'm like, yeah.
It's based on a book that's written by an NYPD officer who became a demonologist, which is a very unusual career progression. He did it. He experienced things in his life as a police officer that made him think that there's more evil out there than the human evil that he's dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So the film, Eric Bana plays this lapsed Catholic policeman who is going around the Bronx. He discovers these 3 loosely connected cases, one of spousal abuse, one of this disappearing painter, and one incredibly grim case where there's this child thrown into a moat at the Bronx Zoo, the moat that runs around the lion enclosure. And so Eric Bana, while investigating these cases, notices this common link. And at the police station one day, he meets this Jesuit priest who's played by Edgar Ramirez, who suggests to him that there is more at work here than just the evil that men do. And we've got a clip of that moment.
Is she drugged?
She's been sedated.
You know this lady?
Yeah, her name is Jane Craner.
You got a name?
Joe Mendoza. She's one of my charges.
One of your charges? What does that mean?
I'm a Jesuit priest.
Where's your collar, Padre?
I work undercover, like you.
You going with her?
He's here at the family's request. They felt she needed a specialist.
You a psychiatrist, too?
No, I'm not. Can you tell me exactly how she was behaving when you first saw her at the zoo?
Like she was nuts? That's how?
When you arrested her, did she seem unusually strong?
No. Why?
No reason that would interest you. But if you do think of something more specific, or if I can be of any help, please call me.
Okay.
There we go. I like watching Eric Bana, can I just say? I like watching him.
And he does. He really goes for the Bronx accent in this film in a big way. But you very quickly acclimatise to the film's rhythm, and as I say, it's very scary in the moment, But every scene kind of starts. You've got the spooky setup, and then the spooky setup is punctured with a gag, and then the real tension is built more slowly. Then there's a false scare, a cat jumping out of a cupboard or something like that. Then something seriously nasty happens, and you get the big fright, and it does this cycle over and over again. The film is so committed to this cycle that the wisecracking sidekick cop who delivers the tension puncturing gags, when he becomes indisposed towards the end of the film, a second wisecracking sidekick cop steps in for him and also wisecracks. And this is at the point where it eventually ends with an exorcism, probably the loudest exorcism I think that's ever been carried out. I mean, absolutely, totally deafening. I think, there's some interesting ideas that are being grasped at here. The film starts with soldiers in Iraq, and the connections kind of lead to some ancient evil that they unlocked there. So there's a vague kind of a suggestion it's dealing with issues like PTSD, soldiers coming back, and the horrors that they saw out there kind of are transported back to normality with them. There's also a kind of an invoking of, I don't know if you saw the TV series True Detective.
Yes, I loved it.
Which a tremendous, incredibly cinematic TV series. And that invoked, weird fiction by writers like Ambrose Bierce and Robert W. Chambers. And again, they dealt with ancient evils being unlocked and manifesting in the modern world and being stumbled upon by people like the detectives in True Detective who are used to seeing horrible things happening. And they're unable at first to discern the supernatural evil from the natural evil. It kind of does a little bit of that, but then it decides to throw its lot in totally with, Exorcist, full-on horror. And I think possibly to its detriment, I would have loved to have seen it played about a bit more with ambiguity, in the same way that True Detective did with, Carcosa, the Yellow King. What are these things? Are they supernatural? Are they just really nasty people? And it doesn't kind of quite have the confidence to do that. So I think Deliver Us from Evil, if you want to be scared, it's worth seeing. But at the end of it, you really feel you've done the fairground ride, you've been through the ghost house, and then that's it. It's very, very forgettable after that.